Welcome to A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly. We're in the kitchen today. It is Freeze Dry Friday. So this week I have a hodgepodge of stuff that I'm going to be putting into the freeze dryer. I have some leftovers. I have leftover clam chowder, about 1 cup of that. And I have leftover chicken topped with a spinach artichoke topping. And my timer's going off, letting me know the freeze dryer is ready. And then I have 2 trays of caramelized onions. These are caramelized onions that I canned in 2022, and I didn't like them at all, not at all. So before I throw them away, I'm gonna run them through the freeze dryer, and I'm hoping I might be able to use them as toppings, like on a green bean casserole or something. So we're just gonna give it a try. I'm gonna get the lids off of these and we'll show you what's in the trays. Okay, in here, I've actually got some rutabaga that I roasted. Rutabagas come as a big root, and it's a lot of food. It's a lot. So we didn't eat all of it. So I am freeze drying this. This will freeze dry wonderfully, and it will rehydrate beautifully as well. These are chicken breasts with a spinach artichoke cheese topping. It's not actually spinach though. It is broccoli greens from last year's garden that I had freeze dried. And I'm gonna see if I can get this to rehydrate. I'm trying my hand at different ways of rehydrating freeze-dried meals. So this is a full meal. In this tray, and in this tray, the lid is really on there. We have the caramelized onions. So that is a lot of caramelized onions. That would be a lot of food to throw away. I did not care for it. So we're seeing if we can turn it into something else. Might be a hit, it might be a miss. And then on this tray, I have, I think, 1 serving of clam chowder. So we're gonna get all 4 of these trays into the freeze dryer. Now I was able to pre-freeze these because I have been processing food and making space in my freezer. So these won't take as long as some of the more recent videos. But let's get these into the freeze dryer and we'll see how long they do take. Here we are at the freeze dryer. My display is telling me that I can go ahead and load the trays. I'm gonna put the heavier, denser ones on the bottom. I feel that the bottom ones just work better than the top ones. So the top one is where I'm going to put just that really thin layer of the clam chowder. I'm going to close the door. I'm also going to close the drain valve per the instructions here. And that's this here. So I just need to turn it to a closed position and then press continue. Now this is going through the freezing process, which is not going to take long because this food is already frozen. It will sublimate all of the liquid out of this food. The ice will build up based on how much liquid is pulled out. Then it will go into a dry phase. And when it thinks it's dry, it then goes into a extended dry cycle, which you can set for however many hours you want. I always do 9 hours extra because I tend to really pack my trays and I want to be sure that they are absolutely dry. So I will bring you back when these are done. Here we are about 41 hours later and the food should be done. I did add a couple more hours of dry time onto this because I was working when it finished, so I just let it go for a couple more hours. So in order to open this, I need to release the pressure by opening the pressure valve. We've got the clam chowder. the chicken and the roasted rutabaga, and 2 trays of caramelized onions. You can see that there's quite a bit of ice built up. That was all the water or liquid that was sublimated out of the food during the freeze drying process. So I will defrost this machine before using it again, and I will get the trays, the insert, cleaned out as well. For the clam chowder, this is just 1 serving, so I'm going to put it into just this pint-sized bag here. And I'm just going to use one of my kitchen tools here, a bench scraper, to get it off the bottom of the pan. And that filled that up nicely. Just going to use a Sharpie to mark on here what that was. So that was 1 serving of clam chowder. And I'm going to mark that as keto because it has rutabaga instead of potatoes in it. And then this is March of 24. And that should be good for 25 or so years. I do have to put an oxygen absorber in there, but I'll do that when I'm ready to seal up all the bags. I'm going to do the same with the roasted rutabaga here. Take out my little tray divider. Not much in there, but it's still at least 1 serving. Now this is just going to need to be rehydrated for use, whereas the clam chowder will need to be reconstituted. The difference between the two is whether or not a liquid form is involved. So imagine the clam chowder. If I were to put 2 cups of water in this, it would probably dilute it too much and it wouldn't be delicious anymore. So I will add just enough water to get this to the consistency that I want. I'll be careful with how much water I add to this. This, on the other hand, only needs to be rehydrated because I'm not worried about consistency because it's not going to end up a liquid form. So this, I can put as much water with these as I want. It's only going to absorb as much water as it needs to get back to its original roasted state. The chicken, this one's going to be a little trickier. I am going to bag some up, but I'll keep a little piece out to rehydrate. So again, this would be a rehydrate, not a reconstitute, because I'm not going for anything liquid in here. And I'm going to put 1 breast per bag, so a single serving. And that fit in there well. I'm going to go ahead and put this, well, I'll put that extra in the smaller piece bag. This is why I always have dogs at my feet. I make a mess. So this is 1 serving of keto chicken, artichoke, broccoli, bake. 3 of 24. And this should be good for 25 or more years. Now, what I'm going to do with this chicken here, the chicken, everything, so this is a little piece of chicken breast with the broccoli, green, artichoke, cheese topping. And this is going to be a rehydrate, like I said, but the cheese is a little bit tricky. So I went ahead and boiled some water in the kettle here. So it's hot and it's going to be steamy. And I'm hoping that the steam is what's going to get that cheese to rehydrate. So I'm going to pour a little in here. Chicken is only going to absorb as much moisture as it needs to rehydrate. Pour just a little over the top. And we'll see if that was enough. So you can see it's a little steamy. I'm going to put a lid on it and we're going to let it soak and steam for a few minutes and see if we can get this back into a good shape to eat. Now for the onions. These were caramelized onions that I had canned and I did not care for the taste of them. But as you can see, this is a lot of onion. So I am anxious to see if this is salvageable. Let's give it a taste. Let's try it. That's really good. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Oh, that is delicious. This I can see using as a topping on maybe a green bean casserole, or I can add this to some bone broth and I can have French onion soup. I'm gonna think on this. This is absolutely delicious now. I'm so glad I didn't throw those away. Let's get them put away. I'm not gonna put them in Mylar because they're loaded with butter, so which is fat. So shelf life will be probably less than 10 years, and I don't want to forget about them in Mylar. So I'm going to be putting them in a glass jar if they fit. And I'm just gently handling these. I'm not trying to powder them down. I'm just trying to maximize the space in here. And I'm just cutting these into pieces that I can pick up. So by putting them in the glass jar, I'll see them and I'll remember to use them. I'm trying to be careful not to drop these because onions are toxic to dogs. I don't want to get them on the floor. Whew, this is going to be close. That is right up to the top, and that is 1 gallon of caramelized onions freeze-dried. I am really excited about this now that I like the taste of them. I'm going to get this a little bit cleaned up, and then we're going to seal everything. I've got the medium size oxygen absorber to go in the 1 gallon jar. And I'm just going to write on the jar itself what these are. You can use Sharpie to mark any of your canning jars or any glass jar. It'll wash off with soap and water. So these are caramelized onions. And this is 3 of 24. And I'll do an FD for freeze dried as well, but I'll know what that is. So nice little label on there. And again, that will dry on here, but it'll be easy to wash off with soap and water. All right, and then we have 4 servings here. They're each gonna need one of the smaller oxygen absorbers for the pint size. So I'll take out 4 of those, put the lid back on so these stay usable. Bring up my impulse sealer, and this is simple. And again, these have notches on them so that you can easily open the bags, you know, a tear notch. So I'm going to seal above that notch, and that way when I do open it using the notch, it'll take off the top part that's going to be heat sealed. It also, if you go up towards the top when you heat seal, then if you ever do have to open it, but you're not going to use all of it, you could just cut off the part that has the heat seal, and then you could seal again below that. That is sealed. All right, these are all ready to go into long-term storage. Let's try rehydrating some of those caramelized onions. Just a few here in this little ramekin cup, and a little bit of water. They're almost done. They're almost ready at this point. That's done. We have rehydrated caramelized onions. Let's see how they taste. They taste like caramelized onions. Let's see how we made out on the chicken. I don't know if it's been long enough for the cheese, but the fork goes easily through. It feels soft. I think it might be done. Let's get some of this topping. So you can see that the chicken is chicken and it's rehydrated. This recipe is so good. That's amazing. Okay, let's see how we did on the cheese topping. A little hard to isolate just the cheese. This was mozzarella. I'm going to try to pull off some of the green. It's hard to see, but the cheese. This is a win. This fully rehydrated. The flavors are fantastic. It's lunchtime. I think I'm going to eat this. It's almost better than it was the first night. Oh, wow. Well, that's it for another Freeze Dry Friday. Thank you so much for joining me here at A Better Choice Homestead. My name is Kelly, and I hope you come back and visit again soon.